So for this video, I'm going to be kind of going over the basics of our Camry sets with the 3 projector style. It's been pretty popular. I've really been wanting to actually sit down and kind of go over them so people know what they're expecting, know what you're going to get, and kind of know some of the options that have kind of come up with through the past year plus working with these. As a base, you can get this set with the DRL along the bottom and the 3 demonized as well as etching. So that is the current base. The most common upgrade is the 3 halos that I think personally fill out the build quite nicely. And most recently, and this only a few people really know about these, there are a couple of them on the market, and I've got 3 going to be shipping out this week like this. This is the addition of a side DRL. One thing to keep in mind with these, in a lot of states you are legally required to have a reflector on the side of your car. So in some states you may fail inspection if you don't have a reflector somewhere on the car on the side. It doesn't have to be in the light, it can be anywhere. But just keep that in mind. My own personal cars, that is the law in my state, Virginia. I don't run reflectors on my cars. I've never failed an inspection. It's personal preference at that, but keep in mind that, I don't guarantee you that you will pass inspection. So, most car guys know, inspection stations can be a little bit finicky about stuff. So, keep that in mind with anything custom, really, when it comes to car modifications. But in this case, that is one that technically you are supposed to have. So keep that in mind. As well as remembering that RGB is illegal on the streets. If you run it, do it at your own risk. But it's pretty cool to have. So, yeah, onto the lights. As far as the lights go themselves, you have a basic DRL function. I've currently got it set up for one of the 8 different startup animations. One of them just goes solid white, but then there's 7 animated startups that you could choose from, and they are controlled within the app, and you can change them all within the app. You can also set the demonize to be a solid color. I currently have them running at the same color as the lights. I will change it on this one to like a red or something like that, but you can change that to whatever color you want. Even set them to off if you just want them for show modes and you don't want them on while driving down the road. And I can show that in the app as to how to set that up. But currently I got them on white. Also, you got turn signals. Now I've only got this side plugged up, but there is your turn signal. That is one of 4 different turn signal styles that you can choose from. So there's quite a few options, and all of that can be changed within the app. And then when you turn them off, there is a reverse animation flow. In addition to that, something somewhat new that I've been doing now is adding remotes. Now the purpose of the remote is the addressable lights in general drain your battery. These kind of LEDs, the color flow style, that's what addressable is. It's a lot of people call it color flow or NeoPixel or something like that. Basically, it will always draw some power from your battery. So I have developed a device. I call it a power saver, and the way it works, it automatically turns on. So right now it's not drawing any power for the actual controller, but if you say you want to go for a ride in the car, all you do is you start the car up, or you unlock the car, you walk up to it and push the unlock button, or in a lot of you guys' cars it just senses you when you walk up to it. Your DRLs can turn on like that, and it will kick that power connection back on automatically. When you go to park the car, it will do its little flow, and then it will shut the power off. so you will save that battery life. And that is automatic for turn signals and DRLs, so if your lights need to do something, they will do it. You won't have to worry about anything. What this is for showing off the car. So normally, keep this thing closed, keep it in your car, keep it, you can have it on your key ring if you want, but keep in mind that if you play with this, you may inadvertently leave the power connected and drain your battery. So it's very important that you don't do that. But you just pull it down, and the B button will connect the power. And it will flash blue initially. It's a very quick flash, and it turns right off. And what that is it's just the initial power startup. The LEDs flicker a blue and then shut right off. That is normal. You see right there? It's very fast, very quick. It's over. But it'll do that. And then A button is pre-programmed show modes. You can add your own show modes. You can start the show modes through the app. You can, pretty much do whatever you want as normal function for the Ghost controller. But in addition, we have added this remote to enable you to be able to turn on the main power to the lights and start the show modes without having to pull out your phone. I feel like that's a pretty nice feature if you just want to show the lights off real quick. It helps. And then the fact that, we're normally tied in with the DRLs or the turns. If you're at a show, you want to show off the lights, you don't want to have to turn on your DRLs to make the lights work. And that is what the main power override is here. But keep in mind, right now, this is a permanent connection to the battery. So until you push the B button again, it will stay connected. That disconnected it right there. I push it again, it's connected again. Keep in mind as well that because there are two buttons that you have to push to start, if you don't push A and you just push B, the next time that you go to start your car, it will be doing show modes. So it's very important that you remember you have to push A, or else the show modes are still running even though the power is disconnected from the LEDs. So always make sure that you push A first and then B in order to kill the power and turn off the show modes. So from there, I will go ahead and kind of show you what is involved in actually wiring up the lights. So this is our controller. It's not too big, should be pretty easy to hide. Ideally, you want to put this away from water. It is waterproof, but in general, with electrics, you don't want them submerged in water. So if you can put it in a place that stays dry. Also keep in mind there are transmitters in here and things that your phone and your remote needs to communicate with. So it's not ideal to, hide this in between a bunch of metal parts on the car or other things that are going to interfere with your connection. One common complaint that I hear a lot is I got to be right next to the car to connect. Well, that is actually 100% where you put this. If you put this thing on the top of the hood, you're going to get great range. If you put this thing, tucked up underneath the frame rails so it looks really pretty when you open the hood, well, that's cool, but you may have some difficulty connecting to the app. So keep that in mind. I generally put these right by the battery on the Camrys. There's tons of room, and you generally get a pretty good signal. But it's definitely something to consider when you're mounting this. Keep it away from heat. Ideally, you don't really want it near any moving parts. These are pretty basic ideas, but I have to say it to make sure that everybody's kind of on the same page with that. In addition to that, you do have the actual wires for the harness itself. There is a power and ground. Power is red, ground is black. The power has a fuse built in. That is this right here. It's this fuse holder. So you pull this cap off, there's a fuse inside of there. You can replace that fuse if you need to. In the event that you forget your password for the application, because you will set a password, it will ask you for a 4-pin code when you first hook up the lights. You will set that. So whatever code you push in will be your code. I have not set that code. once it is set, if you happen to change phones, delete the app, or just for some reason it will not connect and you've forgotten your code, you can pull the fuse from here, put it back in, and it will reset the code. The purpose of that code is to make sure that other people do not log into your lights at car shows and events and mess with them. So definitely something you want to have. In addition to that, you have two plugs. One is a 6-pin plug, the other is an 8-pin plug. So they are one side, the 6-pin's longer than the 8-pin anyways, the cord itself. So it's pretty self-explanatory what goes to what, but you can't plug it in the wrong light. The driver's side light, which is that one, but it has the 8-pin, and the passenger side here has the 6-pin. It's a very simple plug, very small, should be easy to run through the car, and that is what that plug is. That is your controller plug. So as far as the additional add-ons to these lights beyond your factory plugs, this is it. In the event that you do choose to get fog lights added, which is only available on the 18 to 20, I think it's 18 to 20, 18 to 21. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but I know there was a bumper change at some point. So definitely keep in mind your bumper has to fit. It's actually these right here. So if those fit, those will work. I do have a set of the new style of these. They're bigger for the new bumper. I have not yet done a set, but I have a set here, and it can be done if you want to be one of the first to get these on your new Camry with the new style fog lights. Just let me know. I do have them here. They are going to be more than these because they are much bigger, more expensive, and much more LEDs in them because of the size. So keep that in mind. As far as this extra plug here, that is what that is for. That goes to the fog lights. It will come out. I'm going to just start putting these on standard. In the event that you decide to sell the lights, maybe you bought the lights and you decided that you wanted to add the fog lights later on, I just want that option available so it can be an add-on. Please keep in mind our fog lights do not just work with anything. We are using 12-volt LEDs. They are next level Neo UCS 2904 12-volt LEDs. So if you have a set of lights that did not come from us, or even if you have an older set of lights, please ask us first to make sure that they will work. Some of the first sets that we were doing were 5-volt. So if you buy the lights, the new DRLs that we're going to be doing for the fog light DRLs, and you plug them into a 5-volt headlight, it's not going to work. You're just going to get very dim red LEDs randomly, but you're not going to get the actual output that you need. So keep that in mind. If you do have a 5-volt one that you purchased from us, you can talk to us about sending it back in to get it upgraded to the 12-volt. But from here on out, I'll only be doing 12-volt outputs. So at the date of this posting, if you purchase your lights after, or they were shipped to you after that date, then you should be good to go for this current upgrade for the output. But otherwise, this will be just zip tied up out of the way, and so you shouldn't have to worry about it. Also, this is pretty much standard on these lights, not something we do, but something that comes with the lights. This is your adapter, so the XSE models and the SELE models and TRD can fit these lights. So either way, whatever you have, you're going to have this in the box. If you have an XSE like that, not the AFS one or the adaptive lighting one, but the standard XSE, then this will fit it. If you have the TRD, LE, or SE models, then these plugs will fit it. There is an issue with, I believe it's this one, but you do not want to plug it in because it will blow your main fuse on the car, and that's on the TRD or the XSE models, the ones with this plug. It's a design issue. I'm not quite sure what that's not even used anymore, so it probably doesn't even matter. Or I mean, it won't matter if you don't use it. But the main plugs are this one and this one. Those are the two that you want to make sure that you plug the adapter into. Beyond that, there's tons of YouTube videos on how to remove the bumper and do things like that. This is something that if you're not comfortable with electrical, you should definitely have a friend or pay someone to install the lights. We do not provide technical support for removing bumpers, sorry. And basic electrical, if you struggle with the idea of connecting this to the battery, that's not something we can talk you through on the phone. So please keep that in mind. If that does scare you, definitely want to consider that ahead of time and make sure that you make the proper arrangements to get them installed. Also, something I'll mention, and I tell a lot of people this, the best ground and the best power on your car will always be the battery itself. I get a lot of people that run these to the frame, and you know, a lot of times you'll be fine doing that, but sometimes you'll have a lot of issues because of corrosion or other things that actually make the ground on the frame, certain parts of the car, actually not a really good connection. The best way to eliminate any potential problems is to run these directly to the battery. These will fit onto the battery screw terminals. You will find some nuts on the ground and the power side that you can remove. I believe on the ground side it's a lockdown nut, so you just remove that lockdown nut the whole way, put that little eyelet over it, just put that thing over it, screw the nut down, it will lock it in place. And it's the same on this one. This one's a little bit easier because I believe there is like a little distribution block up on top there that you can attach that to. But once again, if you do not feel comfortable attaching to power and ground, you should not be installing these lights. We make them as simple as possible, but at the same point, you know, some people are really good at other things, and electrical and cars and stuff is not something they should be doing. You know, definitely know your limitations when you go to installing these, just to make sure that you don't have any issues. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the basics in the app now for the actual lights, and that should pretty much be the end of this video. So this is the app. When you open it up, you'll see, assuming there's no other controllers around you at the time, you will see your controller at the top of the list. If you see multiple controllers here, you're going to have to figure out which one is yours, and that is all going to change. That number at the bottom, that is for this controller. Every set of lights will have a different number there. If you're on an iPhone, it will completely be a different number, so keep that in mind. I'm going to hit it, and this is where you would set your code. And you can set that code to anything that you want, or you can hit skip. You will have to hit skip every time that you connect if you choose skip. If you type in the code, it will remember the code. If you forget your code, maybe you change your phone, you delete the app, or for some reason the app decides to forget your code. If you do not remember what the code is, you can pull that fuse that I showed at the beginning of the video, and that will reset that code. I'm going to hit skip for now, and it is going to connect. Once again, the speed with which it connects greatly depends on how far the distance is between you and the controller, as well as interference between you and that controller. So placement of the controller on the car is going to be a factor, and you should try that with the hood closed as well. Hood open, you know, the hood is going to be a factor, so hood open, you may get a better signal than hood closed. And even some days you're going to get a better signal than other days. It seems like it kind of varies a little bit, but it's all based on interference and everything else. Anybody with the Wi-Fi in your home knows how much it can fluctuate. It's the same basic principle. Okay, so it'll come right up, and I did skip an update. I will do the update on this controller, but in the event that you see that update screen pop up, you can do the update, just update now, or you can do later if you just want to postpone it. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. You'll hit update. You may have to refresh a couple times to get the to keep connecting to the app as it does the update, because it will kind of like restart the controller a couple times to get that connection, and then update, and then connect again, and then update, and then, you know, so it'll take a little bit. That's not abnormal. That's just expect that, and it'll get through the process. So the first screen that's going to pop up is your show modes. Now, you guys typically will just see the plus sign at the top of the screen, unless you already have a Ghost. I do a lot of testing, and I have my show car as well, so I have many pre-programmed in, but you will have to program all of these yourself if you want to add show modes. As far as the show modes themselves go, you would hit plus. You have the name. You can name it whatever you want. You have the show mode itself. There are quite a few, and each one of them you can customize with the color shift, the movement, the master dimmer. Generally you want that all the way up, and then the colors. If you want to do, you know, red, white, and blue or something like that, you can do that. You just hit the trash can to delete a color, hit the plus sign to add a color, and you can have as many or few as you want. You can also play with this little block button here, and that will actually change the way that all of the show modes flow. This is using our current preset settings to make it all flow uniformly without the light, throughout the light. But in some show modes you may prefer it off, and you can set that for each show mode, so you can have the show modes preset on your phone to run it with it off or with it on. Then you would hit the home button, and it has my new added show mode right there at the bottom. I can add another show mode with the plus button, and I can keep adding show modes. Next is your car tab. Now this is where you're going to choose the sequence for your turn signals and your parking lights, as well as setting colors. So I'm going to turn the red on. So now my DRL2 is red and DRL1 is white. In the case of these lights, I have set DRL2 to be your demon eyes. So this is where you would change the color of your demon eyes, or turn them off in the event that you don't want the demon eyes on at all. You can just turn it down like that and they will be off. I'm going to leave them on for this one, and the customer can choose to turn them off if he wishes to. Turn signals. Generally you want to keep that color the legal color, but you can set it to any color you want. If you want to set it to blue turn signals, you can do that. The same goes for your parking light 1. You can set that to any color you want as well. Then you have the actual modes. So you have 5 animated modes. 1 which is called basic, which is just flash on, flash off, like a normal turn signal. And then you have off itself, which would turn off your turn signals. So if your turn signals are not working, you definitely want to make sure you did not check off. The next one is your parking lights. You got Rainbow Road, which is the default that I usually send it with because it's the most colorful. But if you want something a little more basic, there are 7 different animated versions of the DRLs. 1 basic, which is just it turns white and the white turns off, just a really basic DRL. And then you have off. Same deal there. If your DRLs are not working, make sure you did not select off. Switchback fade. Don't use that in general. That just, it means that every time that your turn signals finish cycling, they will cycle through your Rainbow Road. And you really don't want to be doing that when you're on the road, driving down the road, and you got your turn signals going. When you turn off your turn signals, then your lights start flashing RGBW. Probably not a great idea for cops and stuff. So I would say in general, don't turn that on. But if you wanted to turn it on, you can right there just by pushing it. I'm going to leave that off. I don't run that on any of my cars. Next is your gear tab here. Now the only thing that you should mess with on this tab is your nickname. This will make it easier for you to identify your car if you're at a show and there's a bunch of cars there. So you can call this one, let's call it Camry, and I'll hit done. And then the only other thing would be to export your config data. This is the way that you can save the current settings as your lights have shipped. If you want to play with your lights and you want to, make adjustments to them, this is the safest thing that you can do because it ensures that if you mess something up, everything will be okay. You can get back to what it was. So you just hit export. You can name that anything you want, and then you would just hit done. And then if you need to go back because maybe you made some changes and you need to undo them, you can hit import, select that, hit import, and it will restore your settings to what they were when you exported. So now we'll go into the block tab. Now the block tab is where all of your settings are for the lights. This is position of halos, the position of strips. This is what makes it all run and flow uniformly. Really the only thing that you should mess with would be your DRL for sections 1 through 3. I currently am going to have them on 2, which means that my DRLs for the demon eyes will actually be red. But in general, I wouldn't mess with this unless you feel really comfortable. And make sure that you back up everything before you do. There is a left and a right side. I'm going to flip to the right side, and I'm going to do the same for the first 3. And that's this will be shipped this way. I just didn't do it yet on this set. But all I did, I just changed the demon eyes, which is section 1, 2, and 3, to be DRL2, which if you remember back here, we set to red. So that means that when I turn the lights on, the demon eyes will be red. This is not used, this page. This is a feature of a upgraded version of this controller that is not necessary for these lights. So we use the cheaper version. So you do not need this page. But that is the gist of the app. It's probably a little more overkill of data than you need to know to do the basics. The basics are, you got show modes. You need to name your controller so that you don't forget which set of lights is yours. It is very easy to get confused as to whose lights are whose when you're at a meet with a bunch of people using the same controller. So I highly recommend that you do that. And then to export your config data. If you're the kind of person that likes to play, that's a really safe thing to do, because I cannot just send you the info on how to set up your lights. That is done here with the lights, looking at the lights while it's set up. I cannot do that for you. So keep that in mind. If you do plan on messing with this screen, I highly recommend that you export your data first. So just keep that in mind. But other than that, the rest was just information. You don't have to change any of this stuff, but you can. And that should pretty much cover everything. Alright, so we're back to the lights. Just go over a couple more things. I'll show you some of the changes I did for the demon eyes, for example. Are now a solid red. I also wanted to cover one more thing that we do add. We ceramic coat the lights with a Add-ons graphene with a 10 hardness ceramic coating as a courtesy for all the lights that we build. It helps to protect against road debris and things like that. It is not, you can still get nicks and scratches and stuff, but it does help. And probably most notably, it helps to keep the lights cleaner and help to protect from some sun damage. So obviously there's a limit to everything and what they can do, but it's a nice add-on, nice feature, something I do on my own lights, and we're happy to be able to start doing that to the customer builds now. So just one more thing that I wanted to mention on that. If you do want to get your set built, hit us up. We hopefully will be having these sold on the site at some point. Please keep in mind these are built to order unless they are in our ready to ship section on the website. We currently do not have any of these as of today, but we may have a couple sets at some point. But keep in mind, ready to ship means that whatever etching is in them, that's what it is. It's not customized at all. So if you want custom, hit us up. We can do that. If you do happen to see a set and you're in a hurry, by all means, go ahead and buy it. But we will be working on getting these on the site at some point here soon, pre-built and ready to go. But it probably won't be till next year.